This is I Talk, Just Listen. Everything's allegedly and also my opinion. All right, then. Let's get it. This is I Talk, Just Listen, a new channel on the scene. Trying to get to the top. I want all my viewers to be a part of the I Talk, Just Listen family. So hit that subscribe, like, and share, and comment so we can chop it up in the comment section. All right, then. Let's get it. Former Colorado players Eoghan, Kerry, and Caiden Robertson joined Big Turkey on his show, Jason Whitlock, to talk about their experience with Deion, Coach Prime of the Colorado Buffaloes. They say they was ignored, they felt disrespected, and they was cut from the team. They both gave details how things went down. Let's get into it.
Never got an opportunity to talk with Deion.
Yeah, so obviously I expressed, I relayed the information that I was given to Coach Hart directly. And one of the first things I said to him is I'd like to have a conversation with the head football coach. And as a man, I wanted to tell him those things. I wanted him to hear it coming from me and not, some third party, whether it be the training staff or Coach Hart himself. And then I wanted to talk, courses of action, where do we go from here? But because the training staff had the information, they had asked me things like, who do you want to know? We can give this information as long as you say it's okay. So yeah, I don't want pity. I don't want that. I don't want this team to be successful. But I would like Deion to know, and I'd like to have an eventual conversation with him about everything. And so he was directly told from Coach Hart and from the training staff, what was going on.
But you never got that meeting?
No. So actually, after I was diagnosed, I flew home that day. Mom wanted her son home, and then it came back. And the next week, I expressed that I wanted that conversation. So I really tried for like three and a half weeks to get a meeting with him, a sit-down meeting with him. And we had stuff scheduled. And actually, on April 30th, I sent Coach Hart a text saying, "Hey, when can we meet with him?" So that day, he's like, we'll shoot for Thursday. So you're looking at Thursday, May 4th. And I haven't really heard anything from him. So I texted him on that Thursday early in the morning, "Hey, are we going to be able to make today work?" And he sends me a text, "No, he's out of town." And that happened, a few times. And so at that point, it became very clear that, for whatever reason, Deion didn't want to have a conversation with me, and he was kind of, refusing to meet with me.
So what were you hoping to accomplish in that conversation with Deion?
Well, like I said earlier, as a man, I wanted him to hear those things from me and not from somebody else. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, I wanted to talk, where my status was, because obviously at that point in time I couldn't play, but, I'd worked hard to be there, and I wanted to help out in any way. I wanted to be around and help support the team. And, those are basically the two things that I wanted to talk about.
And so your time with Deion is brief, and as a player, it's even briefer. But you never had a single conversation with Deion?
Not one.
You didn't bump into him and eating lunch or at the training table?
No, nothing. And I'm sure we're going to get into it here in just a little bit. But he made himself very unapproachable. With the things, his door being closed and the sign that says, don't come in unless asked to come in, or whatever it says, and you got to take your shoes off to walk on the red carpet that he has outside of his office.
Hold it. There's a sign on the door that says what?
Do not step on this. He's got like a red carpet outside of his door, and don't step on this mat unless your shoes are off, and don't come in unless invited, or something like that.
He has a doormat in front of his floor that says, "Did I say you could come in?"
Holy cow! It's a doormat? I just want to be clear. Caiden's calling it a red carpet.
It was red.
I think it was a little different in the spring than the current setup is. Currently, he has a doormat in front of his office that says, "Did I say you could come in?" with a question mark. I do remember there being a red carpet in the spring. All of a sudden, spring game comes, hardly play. And then on April 23rd, which was the morning after the spring game, I was out at lunch with my family, and it was 11:56, and I got a text from Coach Hart saying, "Need to meet with you, be here at noon." So, it's 4 minutes away, freaking out a little bit. I hug and kiss my family. "Thank you guys for coming, so good to see you. Be safe, have a good flight." Jump in the car, rush over to the facility, and I get there, and it's time for my meeting. And he tells me, "Hey, I was wrong. Your meeting's at 2:15. Don't leave, just hang out." And so I'm walking around the facility, and I'm seeing all of my teammates here. I see a couple of the guys that Deion brought in, but mostly just guys that were there from when I was there. So I'm hanging out, talking with a couple other linebackers, just like, what do you guys think is going to happen? Why are we all here? I thought this was just a individual, hey, coach needs to see you. And so 2:15 rolls around, get in the elevator, go up to the 4th floor, which is where all the coaches have their offices. And Coach Hart meets me. He says, "Hey, we're going to Prime's office." So we walk in to Deion's little space, and Cordell Stewart, he's a former quarterback for the Steelers and for Colorado, is sitting on the right, Deion's in the middle, and Coach Hart sits down on the left, and I sit right here across from them. And Coach Hart looks me in the eye and he says, "Hey, Owen, you're a heck of a player. You're a really smart kid, one of the smartest I've ever coached, but we have to let you go." And so Prime was just kind of sitting here looking off past me, and he turns to Hart and goes, "Tell him why." And so Hart turns back to me and says, "You just haven't been playing linebacker enough, and we need an older, more physical, stronger guy than you are. So you don't have a spot here at CU anymore. You're not a part of this team, and you need to find a new home, and we wish you luck." And so, my heart sank, and it was hard for me to hear. But, I held myself together, and I stood up, and I stuck my hand out, and I shook Coach Hart's hand, and I said, "Thank you, Coach. You taught me a lot. I really appreciate it." He said, "You're welcome." And I shook Cordell Stewart's hand, and I said, "Thank you, sir." And I went to shake Deion's hand and said, "Thank you, Coach." And he said, "Yeah, buddy, you got it," and pointed at the door. And so I walked out of the door. He wouldn't even look me in the eye. And
Did he shake your hand?
I think so. I think he shook my hand and pointed at the door, but he wouldn't look at me. Just said, "There's the door, get out." And so I'm walking out there, and I open the door, and stretching down the hallway, there's just this line of players, my brothers, these guys that I've bled for and cried for. And, they all kind of look like puppies with their tail between their legs. Everyone's terrified. And I don't know that they're about to have the same conversation I just had. I'm hoping for their sake, because I love them, that they're going to go in there and be told that, "Hey, we want you. You're on this team." But I have a feeling that's not going to happen. So I go down to the locker room, time to clean out my locker. They didn't give me a bag or anything to clean my locker out with. So I had to go to the area where the janitors throw the trash away. And I took a trash bag from the dumpster that happened to be empty. And I came back to my locker, and, I took my nameplate off and put that in there because I wanted to keep that. Took all my workout clothes and shoes and put them in my trash bag. And I probably sat in the locker room for 10 minutes just soaking in that this was my last time being a Colorado football player. And as I sat there in those 10 minutes, probably 15 other guys stepped out of the elevator into the locker room, and they just had tears streaming down their face. Leading up to that, there were a couple instances that made me think, I don't think he's going to keep any of us. We had been told by coaches that there were going to be cuts, that choices were going to be made about who was allowed to stay with the team and who was not allowed to stay with the team. And I had 4 interactions with Deion leading up to that exit meeting that made me think, I don't think he cares how hard we work. I think he's just going to get rid of us. And these 4 interactions were all in the same place. They were all in the elevator going up from the locker room. These times I was alone in that elevator with him, just 2 men. And the first 3 times, just trying to make myself known, let him know, hey, Coach, I respect you. I want to be here. So I'd say, hey, Coach Prime, how you doing? It's good to see you. And he was on his phone typing, I don't know if it was a message or a tweet, and he would just look up at me and go back to his phone. You know, not even a nod, no acknowledgement that I was even there. Just flat out ignore me. And then the 4th time, you know, I did the same thing. Hey, Coach Prime, how you doing? It's good to see you. And he looked up from his phone and said, hey, buddy, press 5. So I pressed the 5th floor and just shut up. Because, you know, that was the 4th time I'd tried to speak with him when we were alone. You know, not even in front of the cameras, tough guy act, just I was trying to talk to him man to man, and he wouldn't acknowledge me. And that really made me think, especially considering, you know, he walks out and he's dapping up the people that he brought in and hugging on the players that came with him from Jackson and the guys he brought in from South Florida and all these other schools, that considering he wouldn't even nod in my direction, I thought, I'm not sure how much of a chance I have to stay here. Because like I said, we'd been told that they were making cuts.
It seems like these players wasn't good enough to make the team. Now they mad and upset because they got cut. My question to these 2 players, if you was playing for Nick Saban at Alabama, and if he cut you, would you went online and did an interview about it? My answer to that is no. You'd have took your skills on to another school, and that's the end of it. But these 2 players, they went on how they want to interact and talk with Deion, Coach Prime. I think Coach Prime already had in his mind that he was going to cut these 2 players. That's why they wasn't getting no reaction from him. None at all. These 2 guys are making a big thing out of something that happens at every school. It's cuts at every college. And whoever's cut, they just transfer to other schools to see if they can get on the team. They know how it goes. So we already know it's an agenda behind what they're doing. Especially when they go on to Big Turkey, Jason Whitlock's show. Just to throw dirt on Deion. Talk about how they was treated and how they was ignored. Believe me, it goes on at all schools. This ain't nothing new. And that is what it is. This is our talk. Just listen. Hit that subscribe, like, and share. And I'm out.